Hello, welcome to this Technology Use Plan presentation. My name is Randy Van Arsdale. This project was submitted to Dr. Schroeder as part of Educational Technology 501 at Boise State University. The presentation you're about to watch is a draft of a Technology Use Plan developed for the Academic Bridge Program, also known as the ABP, at Zayed University in Abu Dhabi in the UAE. This plan does not make specific technology recommendations, but rather proposes a planning framework that would lay the groundwork for a more tailored and detailed technology plan. The rationale for a technology plan. According to Jones, no date, quote, "The planning process is vitally important. The plan that results from this process is only one of the outcomes," end quote. No date, paragraph 1.4. Similarly, Anderson and Perry, 1994, used the metaphor of cooking. Quote, "Just as cooking has recipes that, if followed generally, will lead to delicious cuisine, a technology plan has the potential for providing directions to success. The preparation of an effective plan should evoke the same kind of devotion to excellence that one might recognize in the kitchen of a fine chef as she works arduously to craft a delicacy. All the necessary ingredients must be gathered and handy for incorporation into the feast being prepared. However, not even the finest quality ingredients will yield the desired dish unless the recipe is explicit and is followed during the cooking activity," paragraph 2. In another paper, Anderson, 1999, passionately states that while the mechanics of planning are important, quote, "those things pale in comparison to the dynamic created by a group of people dedicated to ensuring that the application of technology into everyday functioning of organizational members is maximized," end quote, page 3. Along the same lines, Sibley and Kimball, 1997, established that, quote, "experts have evaluated the use of technology in the classroom and realized that for technology to improve the quality of education, schools must have a plan that addresses the systematic integration of technology into the teaching and learning process," end quote, paragraph 5. The authors go on to observe that, quote, "a technology plan is a description of what your school or district will look like when the plan is implemented. It makes the connection between your educational mission and the technology being installed in the classrooms, and it defines systems needed to support the technology. If you write your plan well, teachers will be able to grasp the impact of technology in the classroom, and they will be able to intelligently review your plan. This is the first step towards building a broad base of support, which is fundamental to the successful adoption of technology," paragraphs 19 and 21. The planning team. According to Jones, no date, "the planning team should be representative steering group rather than a committee, quote, because it stresses the representative nature of the group," end quote. No date, paragraph 2. Jones proposes that representatives of all stakeholders, from parents to community leaders, should be involved. Moreover, there should be a clear division of roles and responsibilities, as well as reporting mechanisms and continued professional development, with success depending upon, quote, active representation of senior management of the school, provision of administrative support, for example, clerical support, funding, venues, provision of professional development and consultancy support for the representative group to create a common vision and a common language, community and parent representation, regular two-way consultation with representative groups, effective meeting times that are inclusive of all members, effective management of group decision-making, paragraph 2.5. With regard to the current plan, given the organizational nature of the Academic Bridge Program, a planning team must begin with the curriculum supervisor, who will, in turn, choose a small planning team. There is no formal process involved in this decision-making. It is a matter of who the curriculum supervisor and management wish to work with. Ideally, the curriculum supervisor will enlist the support of someone with a background in educational technology, as well as a small and select group of instructors who share the ICT plan vision. In this case, stakeholder involvement does not expand beyond our department. Process. With regard to the process of creating a technology plan, Anderson, 1999, waxes that, quote, one of the rare beauties of technology planning is the process. On the surface, the process might not appear so glamorous, especially to the novice planner, though when the process itself is treated with great care, the rewards from the process can be magnificent in scope and quality, page 4. Sibley and Kimball, 1997, divide the process into 3 phases: assessment, formulation, and implementation. The assessment phase is, quote, a broad framework containing objectives, projects, budgets, and timelines. Paragraph 28. The formulation phase, quote, is a detailed specification of training requirements, budgets, and timelines for approved projects, end quote. Paragraph 32. While the implementation phase utilizes specific project specifications from the formulation phase and, quote, acceptance criteria developed in the formulation phase can be used to make sure specifications are maintained and work is complete, end quote. Paragraph 33. In terms of a process, I personally find that Jones' no-date ICT integration guidebook very useful as a step-by-step approach to the process of developing a technology plan. It is minimal enough to provide flexibility and detailed enough without being overly prescriptive. To this, I might add that Al Weischel et al. 1996 guidebook is a useful for more detailed planning. In fact, the Mississippi University Guide is more comprehensive in its coverage of topics, some of which, such as those for special needs learners, security, lifelong learners, and other sundry issues, may be relevant in some situations. For present purposes, however, I believe that as a general framework, the ICT-PD guidebook is sufficient, although a timeline document would be a useful addition to that guide. You will see my process steps outlined in the timeline near the end of this presentation. In the dramatic words of Anderson, without a vision, a people elect to perish, page 3. In a more subdued tone, and nearly 20 years ago, John C., 1992, went on the record to say that, quote, effective technology plans focus on innovation. Pick out what you can do right now to help your district move toward making that vision come true. It is time to begin taking advantage of the power of the tools we have available, end quote, paragraphs 27 to 28. Returning to the present, the NETP 2010 states that in order to accomplish these goals, quote, we must embrace a strategy of innovation, careful implementation, regular evaluation, and continuous improvement. We must be clear about the outcomes we seek. We must apply the core principles of process redesign to quickly evaluate our education system for effectiveness, efficiency, and flexibility, design and implement new processes where needed. We must monitor and measure our performance to continually improve learning outcomes while managing cost. We must hold ourselves accountable, page 3. This obviously requires planning. In the program in which I work has set out the following as its ICT mission statement, quote, the Academic Bridge Program shall become a program which is recognized for successfully enhancing student learning through the effective integration and innovative use of available technology. Personally, I would expand this by looking to the NETP, the aim that all of our students in the ABP, quote, will have engaging and empowering learning experiences, both in and out of school, that prepare them to be active, creative, knowledgeable, and ethical participants in our globally networked society, 2010. Indeed, the NETP is based on some of the following assumptions, all of which apply at my institution and therefore relevant to this educational technology plan. Many of the failings of our education system stem from our failure to engage the hearts and minds of students. What students need to learn and what we know about how they learn have changed, and therefore the learning processes we provide should change. How we assess learning focuses too much on what has been learned after the fact and not on improving learning in the moment. Learning depends on effective teaching, and we need to focus on extended teams of connected educators with different roles who collaborate within schools and across time and distance, and who use technology resources and tools to augment human talent. Effective teaching is an outcome of preparing and continually training teachers and leaders to guide the type of learning we want in our schools. Making engaging learning experiences and resources available to all learners anytime and anywhere requires state-of-the-art infrastructure, which includes technology, people, and processes that ensure continuous access. NETP 2010. Technology Plan Goals and Objectives. The Academic Bridge Program states the following as its 3-year ICT vision. Students study in traditional ways and through technology in class as well as outside the class. ICT is used where it offers higher levels of motivation, greater scope for learning, more meaningful tools, and opportunities for accommodating different learning styles. ICT is integrated within the curriculum where approximately 20% of time spent by students on coursework will be done through technology. Homework may include a technology element. Supplementary materials and remedial materials are available in modular form for students and teachers. Faculty has the necessary basic skills to deliver curriculum objectives through technologies and are actively involved in creating online content. Assessment involves Web 2.0 based projects, online quizzes, and grading of digitally created work. The Academic Bridge Program has a strong identity on the Internet and within the UAE for ICT facilitated learning. Each student has a record of work over the course of time they spend in the ABP, and his or her work online or through software is recorded and evaluated. Students are spending more time on their English than they did before and are learning time management and study skills that will support autonomous learning. Students are learning more, creating more, enjoying their learning more. To this, I would add some of the NETP's more comprehensive goals. All learners will have engaging and empowering learning experiences both in and out of school that prepare them to be active, creative, knowledgeable, and ethical participants in our globally networked society. Our education system at all levels will leverage the power of technology to measure what matters and use assessment data for continuous improvement. Professional educators will be supported individually and in teams by technology that connects them to data, content, resources, expertise, and learning experiences that can empower and inspire them to provide more effective teaching for all learners. Our education system at all levels will redesign processes and structures to take advantage of the power of technology to improve learning outcomes while making more efficient use of time, money, and staff. I believe that it is also important to ensure that planning must be ongoing in order to be effective. Quote, "The maturity of your technology plan and the technological maturity of your school go hand in hand. Do not mistake a technology-rich or high-capacity environment with an organizationally mature environment. Capacity and richness of resources can be purchased. It can be a one-time event. Organizational maturity is demonstrated by consistently producing high-quality educational opportunities." Sibley and Kindle, 1997, paragraph 11. Needs assessment. Using the maturity benchmark survey as a guideline, I would conduct a needs analysis in areas such as administration, which includes policy, planning, and budgeting, curriculum, to include areas such as assessment, faculty, student, and integration, support, which addresses issues such as stakeholder involvement, training, and technical infrastructure, connectivity issues such as internet access, networking and communication systems, as well as innovation of new and comprehensive technologies. Sibley and Kimball, 1997. Jones, no date, provides useful recommendation for needs assessment. For instance, an ICT audit of not only obvious resources such as infrastructure, current usage, and demographic information, but also instructors' attitudes, skills, confidence, and understanding of pedagogical issues. Moreover, Jones proposes a SWOT analysis similar to that you would find in a business environment. Personally, I find this an excellent idea as yet another angle to frame the ICT context. Faculty and staff development. The NETP 2010 sets the ambitious goal of educators being, quote, supported individually and in teams by technology that connects them to data, content, resources, expertise, and learning experiences that can empower and inspire them to become more effective teaching for all learners, page 39. And yet, at the same time, pointing out that half of all new teachers leave the profession within 5 years, the authors also recognize that, quote, teaching today is practiced mostly in isolation. Many educators work alone, with little interaction with professional colleagues or experts in the outside world. Professional development typically is provided in short, fragmented, and episodic workshops that offer little opportunity to integrate learning into practice. A classroom teacher's primary job is understood to be covering the assigned content and ensuring that students test well. Many educators do not have the information, the time, or the incentives to continuously improve their professional practice from year to year, page 39. The NETP 2010 further acknowledges that because teachers are the vital components in transforming education, it is incumbent upon their institutions to ensure that, quote, they are connected to their students and to professional content, resources, and systems that empower them to create, manage, and access engaging and relevant learning experiences for students both in and out of school. They are also connected to resources and expertise that improve their own instructional practices, continually adding to their competencies and expertise, and guide them in becoming facilitators and collaborators in the students' increasingly self-directed learning. Teachers engage in personal learning networks that support their own learning and their ability to serve their students well, page 40. I personally can attest to the importance of developing and implementing a well-planned and sustained training program for faculty. In my own work context, this has been an ongoing issue in that teachers are encouraged and, to some extent, expected to integrate technology into their teaching. However, resources are scattered and inconsistent. Instructors are expected to skillfully integrate ICT into the curriculum when, in fact, this is something that should be part of the curriculum and training program, reflecting the truth that, quote, the existing support systems for instructional technology are largely dysfunctional. It's not just a matter of insufficient funding. The problem is rarely addressed in technology plans. Visit the teacher's break room and ask about the support systems for technology, and you are likely to get an earful. Jones, no date, paragraph 35. For this reason, and as Jones, no date, recommends, it is important to, quote, identify strategic gaps, end quote, such as faculty attitude, skill, and behavior patterns, as well as their understanding of the various pedagogical approaches possible within ICT, Section 6. Once this data has been collected, I would create a training program involving both hands-on workshop as well as self-access video tutorials that would address the problem of having to find convenient training timings for teachers who already feel pressured. This kind of approach may help engender a sense that, quote, technology will focus on learning, not technology. Your colleagues need to see themselves as valuable contributors to the development of the vision, a vision that will evolve and change as the technology changes, and educators must understand better how to use it in the classroom. Jones, no date, paragraph 24. Evaluation and research. Jones, no date, outlines a useful review and evaluation phase of strategic targets using performance indicators. Once this data is collated, analyzed, and interpreted, we could then, quote, draw some conclusions about the success of the plan in relation to the objectives and vision and make some recommendations for the next phase, end quote, paragraph 11.1. Jones goes on to state that evaluation, quote, is most effective if it is an open process based on mutual trust and respect. The people involved in these projects have taken a risk and it may not have been a success, end quote. Paragraph 11.2. Citing Tesmer 1993, Smith and Reagan 2005, proposed that an evaluation plan should include learning goals, analysis of constraints, resources, tasks, learning environment, important issues, questions, qualitative data, as well as identification of instruction and formative evaluation. Quote, as design continues from activities relating to the needs assessment, revision may be made to adjust constraints or resources of the design context, questions about the learners, concerns about the task analysis, issues with assessment instruments, or ambiguities regarding instructional strategy. As formative evaluation may be started with reviews of the needs assessment instruments and documents and learning task analysis. It is critical for the designer to plan early prototype information he will require. Smith and Reagan, 2005, page 341. According to the NETP 2010, it is vital to, quote, ensure that teams working on each individual project share developments, progress, best practices, and outcomes with each other to take advantage of key findings and economies of scale, and to ensure integration and interoperability between projects when desirable. Page 77. Thus, I would see ongoing formative and summative evaluation as informal research that is an integral part of iterative design. Timeline. I would propose the following tentative timeline order of events for the project. This timeline is based on Jones' no-date ICT Integration Handbook. 1. Establish a representative work group. 2. Agree on a vision. 3. Perform an ICT audit and SWOT analysis. 4. Identify strategic gaps. 5. Establish strategic targets and indicators. 6. Develop projects to achieve strategic targets. 7. Produce action plans for Phase 1. 8. Implement Phase 1. 9. Review and evaluate Phase 1. 10. Review the entire plan. According to the NETP 2010, quote, through the funding of rapid and iterative cycles of design and trial implementation in educational settings, end quote, evaluation should, quote, demonstrate the feasibility and early stage potential of innovative tools, content, and pedagogies that leverage knowledge, information, and technology advances at the cutting edge. End quote. Therefore, this process is iterative and needs to be repeated as often as necessary. To conclude, I would like to add that in reality our curriculum supervisor has finally bought into the idea that our department, the Academic Bridge Program, needs a formal ICT plan. This follows several weeks of encouragement, ideas, and persistence on my part in getting him on board. Consequently, I have suggested that he use Jones's integration guidebook as well as the NETP, along with a few other choice documents from this course as a practical guide and framework for the creation of a formal ICT plan. I am very pleased about this, and I can say that this course, EDTECH 501, has been key in providing me with this information, which has enabled me, despite the fact that I have only taken 2 courses, to make a more effective and convincing argument for a more serious approach to ICT technology use planning in the Academic Bridge program. Thank you for watching this presentation.